Hey, do you want to know a secret that I didn't tell anybody ever?
No.
Well, when I was walking the dog I had before Dwayne, this dog named Mr. T, because when he was a puppy, his hair was sticking up like in a mohawk. And you know how ducks fly home in a V? It's like a V shape when they get home.
Basically, I'm gonna tell you about my
And I was walking
delusions,
my dog, and
by which I mean
I looked up and there's a big V above me, and there's all these ducks flying back to the
I don't
home.
even know what a delusion is, but
Can I please get a beer?
And right when
They're
they
just
flew above me,
Can't practice.
things I know
I saw
are not true,
they crashed into a big
I can't
house.
practice, I can't.
The whole
but
V.
are very easy for me to convince myself
And then they
are.
hit the ground, and they just kind of curled up.
It ain't about that at all.
You're sitting in here, you're supposed to be the franchise player. And yet here we are,
Have you ever
talking about
seen
you
a
missing
mistake in
practice.
nature?
So really, I'm
sitting
just
here,
testing
I'm
out
supposed to be
the
the
audio
franchise player.
Have you ever seen the
video
make
about
mistakes?
camera.
We're talking about practice. You understand me? Practice. Not a game.
Not a game.
Seems pretty good.
Not a game. Not the game you go out there and die for.
Okay.
Not the game
Stop
that
that.
I go out there and die for
Right? Play every weekend like it's your last, right? No, we talking about practice, man.
and play every game like it's my last. Not the game. We're talking about practice, man.
Practice. You know you're supposed to be out there. You know you're supposed to lead by example. You're just shoving that all aside.
I know I'm supposed to be there. I know I'm supposed to lead by example. I know that. And I'm not shoving it aside.
So here we are, Jamie. We're talking about practice. Not a game. Not the game. We're talking about practice.
We're talking about practice, man. We're talking about practice. We're talking about practice. We ain't talking about the game. We're talking about practice, man.
I mentioned last time, I
is
think,
you're not just paying
not
extra
really knowing
on a per subscriber basis for content. You're
what
not
that
getting
means,
paid extra by
delusions.
everyone else to sell your
So,
content. And
I'm gonna
Sony is
start
actually
by
very underrated
looking
in this
that up
regard.
so
Where
that we
Sony,
can
they just cut
all
a
be
deal
on
with
the same
Netflix a
page
little bit
about
ago,
what I'm
and they
talking
also
about.
got a deal with Disney. So they're keeping the window where like the first run on
Also
streaming will be on
experimenting
Netflix
with
and the second run will be on Disney, and they're double
having
dipping
something
on all their
playing
content,
in the background
and their
so that,
content's like gold. Because
one,
all
you
these
can't hear
streaming
me.
services need it, and so not only is Sony not
Two,
wasting tons
I
of money
can't
on
hear myself.
buying content, they're making tons of money by selling content and doing what they're good at. They're good at making content. They're not good at running a customer service business. They're not good at marketing, and that's the other mistake all these studios are making. And so they're going to come back at some point. I remember a couple years ago that Netflix is going to have sort of a rough few years, but they're going to actually come out of this far.
Yeah, but yeah, you're doing some content.
Idiosyncratic belief
Netflix,
or impression
you look
that
at what they
is
did,
firmly
which is
maintained
really
despite
shrewd, and
being
you've written a ton about it, but,
contradicted
you know,
by what is generally
they
accepted
banked
as
other
reality
people's content
or
for
rational
multiple years.
argument.
Then they really started
Typically a
making their
symptom
own.
of mental
And
disorder.
by the time everybody realized what was happening,
So yeah, I guess technically,
they had this
not
massive
even
lead. I
technically,
think
but literally,
Amazon's trying to catch up. They're going to spend $9 billion on the
They
MGM
are
library, which seems like it's
probably
maybe
delusions.
twice as much. The
Except that
experts
it's
were
not
saying,
firmly
as,
maintained.
You know, and it's like this
Um,
belated catch-up game where like, let's
It's
just
more
throw money
like
at
just
it. It's like
always
watching an
there
NBA
in the
team
back
be
of my
like,
head,
we
depending
need a center.
on
Let's throw money at Andrew Bogut, and they just kind of
what
go. So it
situation
just
I'm
seems like
in.
Amazon and Apple
If I'm
can always
looking at an
rely
animal,
on the deep checkbooks to
the
play
animal
when they need it.
delusion is there.
Yeah, they have lots
you
of
know?
money, which always helps. The other
If
thing is,
I'm
given you think about Amazon's
anywhere near
they want you to
cars,
subscribe to Prime.
the
Subscribe to
traffic
Prime, you
delusion
spend more
is
money.
there.
Like you just use Amazon as your default for shopping, and anyone can think about just the U.S.
You know,
Anyone can
if I'm
subscribe
in a
to
new
Prime.
house
Anyone,
or
it's like
any
a service that's available
unfamiliar
to everyone, and it's available to everyone
living
in not in a
situation,
zero-sum way. In a win way, you can shop on
product
local
placement
retailer, and
delusion
you can
is
also
there.
shop on Amazon. And so in that
But they're not
sense,
firmly
them
maintained
acquiring
necessarily,
content that makes
and
their service more
it's just
attractive
there while I know
aligns
that
in a
it's
way that AT&T, where they're in a
delusional.
zero-sum
So,
game with Verizon and T-Mobile, it makes sense to
anyway, this
combine
first episode
with
is going to
this
be a little bit of
Discovery bit. There's obviously I think that's
background
spin off from the news
history,
channels because there will be some overlap there. But
just
to me, that's
kind of getting you on the same page
sense.
of like
Discovery
how
and
we
Time
got to
Warner
this point,
critically don't have a broadcast network.
and then I'll go
And I
into
still
the
think it'd be
individual
very difficult
delusions in
to
later
combine
episodes.
CBS and NBC, for example, or ABC or whatever. So the fact that they don't, to me, makes that the most obvious.
Let's
sort of,
cut it there.
Even if even if it's truncated, I guess.
So like,
But I
I
would
could
be.
collect footage all day. That's gonna be
It seems
easy.
like it would be the biggest event
This is the hard
since the
part.
Big Bang.
Trying to
as far as any human is
describe
considered.
these delusions.
I guess I would
in a
want to
way
see what
that
it's like. I would want to see how people
makes
react.
sense.
You know,
And just
I'd
talking
be
in general.
curious
you know,
what
I don't like
what I
talking
would
as it
think
is,
about,
so talking
you know,
to
like what
myself.
I'd be thinking about.
Well, we
when
used
I
to think
realized-
about this during the 80s, right?
You
When
know,
it
is
seemed very possible that Russia and America might just blow each other up.
My
You used to think
style.
a lot
my
about, wow, what
thing.
would happen? How much notice would
Especially
we have
when,
before we all blew
you
up?
know,
Be
This is
5
an
minutes?
This is an
Yeah, it's
interesting
hard
thing.
enough
I'm
driving
49
around.
and you're 50.
Are they
51.
listening to
51,
the
okay,
thoughts?
2 years.
You know, and now I'm
But
just
even those 2 years make a
broadcasting
big
it out
difference
to
on this issue.
the world.
Because by the
you know?
time, like,
So,
say,
1 4 0.
like
I
I said,
wrote something in 6th grade
it's
about
not
how
enough that I'm just giving
the
it all
only
to
problem would be is if
something
Syria got
that's
a nuclear weapon.
literally I know is
I don't think I
recording
knew
me because
anything about
I
Syria in 6th
set
grade.
it up
I'm
to
sure I
record me.
couldn't have found it on the map. I have no idea
talking
what
to
Newsweek
myself
article I
or
saw or something that prompted
all of
me to do
you
this. So I never worried
just
about
out
the
there
end of the world.
is
But like, I found that people.
I will said the old man, but just one thing. What he said
okay,
was so
so
lovely. He said, I lay right there on the edge of the rock. Was ready to jump. I was ever so lost. And this gentleman stopped and said something I never forgot.
For billions of years since the onset of time, every single one of your ancestors survived. Every single person on your mum and dad's side successfully looked after and passed on to you life. What are the chances of that like? It comes to me once in a while, and everywhere I tell folk it gets the best smile.
And then the old man walked away out of sight, till the sound of him hiking turned to the sound of silence. I just froze in a profound surprise, and from down on my pride I found a smile to my eyes. And for many days again I'd be passing the same cliff, and on many occasions I'd chance on the same thing. Laying in the moss, in the same way I was, be another man looking like he needed a change of luck. Something I never forgot.
For billions of years since the outset of time, every single one of your ancestors survived. Every single person on your mum and dad's side successfully looked after and passed on to you life. What are the chances of that like? It comes to me once in a while, and everywhere I tell folk it gets the best smile.
So I guess being in the car and establishing that I'm not really going to be able to record my voice.
It's about 90 degrees outside, sunny. It's not a cloud in the sky.
Anywhere else except here, I guess.
Walking around with a raincoat?
A good delusion to start with would be what I call the traffic delusion. So basically, I mean, oh man, how do you even start to get somebody to understand what's going on in your head when you have no idea what they understand, right?
Every day I'm trying to dodge a raindrop till I'm drained, or when the pain stops, it's opportunity.
So the traffic delusion is essentially, all of these I guess are basically just some sort of ego, I'm different, I'm anything other than just one of billions of organisms on the planet. But in the particular of the traffic delusion, basically anytime I'm really tuned into this mindset of Truman Show living, I guess, it's seems as though traffic gets completely intense, unreasonable. And sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. So this one it's basically impossible to illustrate, because if I did, it would be like sitting there and randomly a car will drive by, or you'll hear 2 cars in the background, and it's significant except for the fact that that car turning onto my block, right, is always specifically aligned with a certain thought in my head, right? So if I'm really in the traffic Truman Show delusion mindset, basically whatever I'm trying to think about or understand, a lot of other people out there are also trying to think about or understand, and for whatever reason it's a lot easier for them to understand it when they're, I don't know, tuned into my wavelength, so to speak. And I guess you have to be a certain amount of close for that to be possible. It's not necessarily just with cars, with traffic. With traffic also, I'll go in someplace when I'm in this mindset and it's completely empty, and every time one of those thoughts, the important ones, pop into my head, somebody will open the door, and 2 minutes later, all of a sudden there's 10 people behind me in line, and I'm like, yo, just tell me. Like, just tell me what it is that you're doing, I guess that's kind of... Sorry, I lost my train of thought, but essentially the traffic delusion is somehow the traffic is drawn to the thoughts in my head, but unless I happen to, I don't know. Like I said, they're delusions. Like, I know that there's nothing between my radio station and my brain and other people tuning into that station, right? But they're delusions, and that's what this is about. It's about trying to tell you, I don't know. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and end this because the battery is about to die, to be honest. Yeah, okay, bye.
Using the following, I'm going to show you A, how to con someone using their own greed, B, that you won't feel bad because they're trying to con you anyway, and C, taking their money.
Talk about the best player.
Alright, so
with KD especially,
this project is never going to get done if I just collect footage and collect footage and collect footage, and now that hopefully I'll be able to actually edit this, I'm just going to have to start. As far as the delusions, the next one that's kind of easy to talk about would be the animal delusion.
Oh God, right. Oh God, here we go. But the thing you talked about, Giannis being diminished.
We'll just call it that, the animal,
him, right? Where it's like, what happens in a game?
This one has a very specific...
And you're trading baskets with one of the best players in the league, and you can only go 1 of 2 from the free throw line every time.
Which is
exactly what happens.
I know exactly when it started.
The Nets had the 1-point lead with 30 seconds left was because Giannis couldn't make 2 free throws in a row. The Nets do it. They had
And
a
the
couple
short
really
of it
smart
is
fouls ahead
essentially,
where it's like,
yes,
fine, go.
I
Go
understand.
1 and 2.
Cats,
We're gonna outscore
dogs,
you.
animals,
There was
pets.
just like a perfect storm of all of them.
They are what they
bad
are,
ones.
right? They're
You know what I
these
mean?
other
Like, there was like a
creatures
little
that
while there, I think,
live
maybe
on this earth,
maybe early in
and
the fourth. I have to look, but it was
you know,
like
my cat
Middleton like
is the
blew a
only
couple of
thing that
counters,
keeps
and
me
it, like,
sane
it would be, like,
sometimes, you know,
down to
like,
8, and then I think he would get it.
so I know that,
That
right?
might be it for Coach
We have a
Bud.
dog. My roommate has
He
a
then
dog.
did this
It's a
whole
big
speech, which I thought was very noble
Rottweiler
about.
mix,
They always want to change
Rottweiler
the coach,
hound
the
mix,
coach,
and he loves to
but
chase
everyone
his
wants to be
tail.
the Spurs
And
and the
like,
continuity and
I
the
know
whole
that's
thing.
just
and he was
something
good.
that some
He
dogs
kind
do,
of talked me
and
into it.
like,
And then I watched today and I'm
it's
like,
just a
there's no way
dog.
Coach Bud comes
If
back. This is
you're
one
doing
of the worst
surgery on
coaches
these
I've ever
things,
seen.
or
You have James Harden,
for whatever
who can't
reason,
move or run.
otherwise
And
cut
there's
them
moments,
open.
like, there was a moment with 3 minutes
You
left
know,
when
an
Giannis
autopsy, you're gonna see
got-
the
Harden
same
got
stuff that's
switched
inside
on
of
him,
me, right?
And he took
You're
him
gonna
down
see
low
a
post,
heart
he
and
ends
a
up
bunch
doing
of
like a
blood
fadeaway
and
turnaround. What
He
the fuck was
waved
that?
off Shannon Dolan.
whatever.
Yeah.
So I know
The only
that,
thing
right?
Giannis is going to do is do this shot, this turnaround, and I got
But
him. And it's James Harden. James
Thought he was the best player in the world, and then LeBron had that
Putting it
crazy
together,
playoff run.
right?
And it's like,
So-
I don't know. They're
Portland's interested. It makes sense that Portland would be interested. I would think Miami would be a hell of a lot more interested in getting.
So we're in the last half of the 90s, and I'm somewhere between 9 and 12 years old, and a lot of those first 13 years or whatever
So that's a different animal.
of my memories are kind of lost or repressed or
He gets Chris Bosh. He
or
gets Jimmy
whatever.
Butler. He gets you to the
So-
NBA Finals.
But you can tell it's really impressive, and
it
the
was
thing
just,
does not stop
to me, like, the
spinning for
shot
that
making,
entire
the
time,
creativity,
and
the clutch shit
it'll
that
do
that
things
play, the
like
biggest play that-
just it
At
doesn't
various points, it was a different
logically make
team,
a ton of
and you could
sense,
just feel
right?
with Brooklyn
But
in the building for that game, and like
It's
you know, you could
fascinating,
just
it's
see
interesting,
That was like
and
a March Madness crowd or something.
where you're just like, why aren't they targeting Harden? Why aren't they making a move? Why aren't they making a move?
So
Because,
you
like,
might
the
have
Nets were just
heard
like, cool, put him
about
on PJ
this
Tucker.
Right.
meme.
KD was.
I don't know if it's a meme or it's just
take PJ
a
Tucker
web,
out.
The
like
trade-off there, it's like, okay, well, PJ's a
money
0-1
making
offense,
thing.
he can guard
I don't
KD. And then when
know.
KD
Like I
starts
said, I don't fact
catching
check. I don't
fire,
really look into these
don't you
things. I just
eventually
come
just say,
across
like,
them.
well, then let's just make
There's
them
this
pay for it
movement
down
of
at the end of the
birds.
end. Let's just trade bodies.
Birds are not real.
And instead, they're like,
right,
no, we're gonna have
online.
PJ barking at KD the entire game, but essentially
I know it
it's
is
like vaporized.
a money making
And
opportunity.
then, like,
Somebody out there
they can
has turned it
hide
into a
Harden out
place
on him in the corner.
to sell
And this
T-shirts
Bucks thing
and
where they would rather
whatnot.
pass to a fire hydrant.
But the
for
gist
a
of it is
open
basically
three-pointer
birds
than
are not
take
real.
the game to the net.
Birds
And it was
are
so they just don't
surveillance,
rebound. I guess I haven't watched the
you know,
Bucks enough. But do they
drones
not do
or
any offensive rebounding? Are they that?
whatever.
They had four today. They give it up because they try to get back on
Government.
defense. When you said Tucker was a zero,
machines, and they're not.
literally he was a zero. He
Yeah.
had 0 points. Listen, there were a lot of
And that's
clowns in
kind
this
of
game from Milwaukee, from a
where
strategy
the
standpoint, from
it's not where the delusion
timeouts.
started. This
When-
is actually
once you have a lead like that,
almost
you're
a
on the
decade
road.
before
Did
birds are
anyone-
not
They
real.
can get momentum.
When
But
Bud challenged
that's
that
kind of the
Brooklyn
gist
James
of the
Harden foul.
delusion.
Yeah,
Is
what-
that
Anybody like
How is that
yes,
a
I know
challenge?
cats
You
are
think that
cats.
guy's gonna be, you know what Harden did, armbar.
But there's
I've
just
decided to
this
see the
thing
light
where
and flip
if
that.
I'm in
That
that
was never gonna
mindset,
happen.
I'm.
Well, and also like
It's really
you
easy to
take Tucker
convince
out, put
myself
in,
that
I don't know,
they're
Bryn
not,
Forbes,
Sure.
right? That
and just
they're
like, all right, Harden, you're gonna have
What
to
are
get
they? I don't
somebody
know.
who can
Are
create a
they-
shot now. And we're gonna do something. We'll put you in
linked
picks.
to,
Like we'll do anything.
you
He
know,
didn't really have to
sending
do anything
back
at all. And then on the other
information
end,
to
it's like, why aren't they
another
pressuring him full
world,
court?
you know?
He
like
was so clearly from the first 20 seconds, you could see like he can't run. He's going to jog through this game, and he's such a brilliant basketball mind. He's going to figure out
aliens
how to do it.
or
He had no
something,
left,
and
no
they're just
legs,
kind
he
of
wasn't able to go to the basket.
keeping track
He did
of
3 free
humans
throws,
and
they
sending
were
this
all, like,
information back,
But it's
or
just like that part was amazing to me. And
you
then
know,
no
maybe
doubling-
they have
no
their
doubling, and then not doubling
you
Durant.
call it God,
To
their
me is
assigned
criminal.
Jeff Green beat you. Like
Yeah,
that.
Joe Harris hasn't made
assigned
a shot in 3 games. Make him beat. Make
task
anybody
or-
else beat you.
or
Right? Durant's hotter.
rule
Durant's
or
NBA Jam flames coming out of
whatever
his
the
head.
case may be.
Yeah, I think it's tough because like you get to the end of the game and you want to be just like this was a pure act of like basketball poetry by Durant. But if I'm the Bucks,
Sorry, lost my train of thought.
I'm killing myself on the way back. Like I just cannot believe I gave that one away.
So like
And
cats,
you know what? This
right?
playoffs, 20
To to me,
it doesn't seem to be a
Cats
lead
seem
anymore. Like, you know what
almost
I mean? It just feels like
like,
teams have been jumping on teams in the first
medics,
quarters and getting up
you
big,
know,
and
like,
that team just gets slowly pulled back. It actually felt like this was the game plan for us. It actually felt like no
a
matter how
nurse,
bad the bleeding
almost.
gets, as long as we're living in the third quarter, mid-third quarter, we have this guy, and that crowd got into it. That
So I guess to get
them. And so I'm kind of impressed because I was like,
this
I mean,
across,
making fun of
we could
Brooklyn
go back
fans
to
and stuff like that was
the
just 'cause it was
catalyst.
like, the day ones from like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
My first
they actually did
mental
lift that
breakdown or
It was
whatever
impressive. I would have played Giannis's brother.
March of
over
2010,
PJ Tucker.
I think. That's kind of like the thing that sticks out in my head. I would have been just turned 23.
So, just so it doesn't sound reactionary, I watched the halftime show
obviously,
with Barkley and those guys.
just
They were
that
killing
it
the
started when
coaching
I'm
at halftime.
23.
They were like,
You
what
know,
are these
like
guys
that's
doing?
such
They
a
should be up by 30
significant
points.
number.
And Barkley was saying, I think they're going to win the title, but this is the stupidest team I've ever seen. This is
in your
before
brain,
all the
you
stupid
know.
shit
This is
happened.
when
This
they
is
were
first quarter. Yeah,
So I'm
they were
23
fucking
and
good,
I'm having
they're
my
like, wow,
first
this
mental
is some of the
breakdown.
dumbest stuff I've watched.
And honestly,
I
from
just will never understand
23 to 27 or
how you don't
28,
use that against the team.
a lot of stuff
And
went
in Harden's
down,
case,
and I
it's
don't
like,
know
this
the
guy can't
timelines or
move.
when I was locked up
Every
or
other
when I was
basketball game we watch, they find the weak link, and it's like the deer in the wilderness, or
in the psych
pack
ward
comes
or
and hunts
what
the deer and takes it
came
down.
in what
It's
order,
all
but
about basketball.
I had
Yeah,
one
you're just
specific
hunting dudes. So how do they
experience
not figure out
where
a way to hunt Harden?
Because they
coaching
had
is that?
PJ Tucker out there who scored 0 points.
Well, there was a moment when they took him out.
I guess this couldn't have
and
been
they
the March
kinda
of
get out there
2010
and,
one
I don't
that
even know
started
who
it
the
all
Fuse
because
and it was Giannis,
Lopez.
Middleton, Lopez,
playoff basketball was on.
Well, the
Would've
other
been
thing
more
was
like
there were
May or
moments when
June,
Harden would get switched on
maybe
to
of
people, and there was
11,
never this light bulb moment
maybe of 10, maybe
where the
of
guy would
11.
go, "Oh, James Harden's on me. I should just go buy him. He can't."
Pretty much
He's
from
playing
that
with like
2010
I don't feel like the Bucks
16,
ever
15,
really got,
16, 17.
You know, I mean, I guess to the Nets' credit, they knew
It was a
when to, like,
yearly
get into it,
occurrence
get out of it, but
where
like they did,
at
I
least
didn't feel
once
like
a
they got
year, usually
running
around
a lot.
spring,
I didn't feel like
I'd
they
have
ever made
these
Harden have to do the sprinting that's
breakdowns
really hard
where
on a hamstring injury because
a
what
new
Harden did
delusion
out
would
there
pop up,
was
or
nuts. He played
I'd be
on a
really
busted hamstring for
intensely
almost the
set
entire
on
game,
the ones
but
that
they
I'd
were
already
saying during the
developed.
broadcast, like Steve Smith was saying, or Grant Hill was saying, any
So
hamstring,
playoff
it's
basketball
all
is on,
hamstrings where it
and
pops.
I
That's where they injured him.
most
All he had
of
to do was
these
kind of lope around, and then every once in a while he's the guy who can hit the
breakdowns
backdoor pass to
or
Joe Harris.
whatever are
Tyler
probably
Johnson could
just
not
panic
do.
attacks,
That Tyler Johnson would
and
not have made.
It didn't
they're
seem
probably
like at halftime I was
the
like,
result
he shouldn't be
of
out there.
lack of
This is
sleep
too much, and
is
this
the
game's
main
too
thing
intense. And then
of all things
I
that
did
have
think
ever
he
messed me
navigated
up.
a
Lack
little
of
bit better
sleep.
in the second half. Like he
Well, and he
wasn't
was
as much
almost
of a
like a
liability.
safety
I've never really
blanket
had an
for
issue
Durant.
sleeping.
Like,
I've never
Durant
slept
obviously
perfect,
just,
like
wanted
super
him,
well,
like,
but I've never
they
really
obviously
had
just wanted to go down together if they were going to go down
issues
together.
getting my
And they-
sleep. But
and I think
sometimes I
his
would,
impact in
and
the
if I
game
didn't sleep
was
for
one of the more bizarre things I've ever
a
seen.
day or
Clearly,
two
it
or
provided something, but even if
3,
statistically
stuff starts to get weird, and
We're gonna take a break. I have a couple more
you know,
thoughts on this that I'm excited to tell.
that's kind of where I assume these all come
This
from.
episode is brought to you Steaks with Friends for those who invent,
But for now,
create,
it's
and share.
early
Not just with
2010s,
food, but
and
that
it's
comes with
playoff
it.
basketball
Here's to
time,
those
and I'm
brothers,
having
the real trailblazers
some sort
in
of
heart.
panic attack,
Learn more at
mental breakdown
Kingsbury.com.
in
Hey,
this
when it comes to
townhouse
rookies,
that I
people
lived
try to
at the
decide the
time with a
favorite player
roommate,
before the overlooked
and
rookie.
I'm watching
Keith Van
basketball,
Horn. So,
and
Tim Duncan
I'm
goes
having
first
this
in the
breakdown
1997
where
draft. Keith Van Horn goes second
there's
in the Nets.
basically there's an alarm
And at the
going
time,
off in my
it was a
head,
pretty good, who should he take here?
and not like,
Obviously the pick was Duncan, but Van Horn.
hey, there's an alarm going
was a
off in
good
my
rookie.
head, but like I could
And-
literally
and
hear
was
like
a 20-point game forward. He just
a
seemed like the kind of guy who's gonna have a 15-year career in the league, scoring
you
20
know,
points a
wake
game.
up alarm
You never know. Just like a basketball career,
in my
things
head.
aren't always what
I
they
know
seem when it
it
comes
was
to your
just in my
insurance.
head, and I know it was
State
just a
Farm, you get
panic
personalized
attack, and I
service of a
know
local agent for a
I
surprisingly
couldn't
great rate.
literally hear
Like a
it,
good neighbor, State Farm. is
but
there.
there's an alarm going off in my
Okay,
head,
so this is the
and
part of the
at the
podcast where I
time,
somehow tie this
I am
together, but-
convinced that I'm dying.
So,
right?
Cleveland, Boston
That's what that
series,
alarm means.
1992.
This is like the
Winner plays the Bulls.
cross
The
over the
legends are
tracks,
like a
like
30-pound
you're going
back
on
race.
to
You
the other
can't compare
side.
the
This
move
is
anymore.
like
Celtics
the
are down
elevator
3-2 in the
opening,
series, game
elevator
6 in
doors
Boston. I'm
opening.
actually there with my my dad. And as it turns out, it's the Legends' last home game. Bird goes out there. They change the offense.
So I'm watching basketball, trying to convince myself that I'm not dying, and
he's just kind of finding cutters.
we have a cat at the
Not
time
moving that much. And the Cavs are just discombobulated. But like they're like, what
my
the fuck
roommate's
is this?
cat,
They don't
and
know
I
what to
honestly
do.
don't remember his name.
And he's just hitting dudes, and the Celtics win by 20,
But
and Reggie Lewis and Brian Shaw.
I
these
could just
guys,
tell
like,
that he
they
could just
look
tell
great.
that something was wrong with me.
And it's like, wow, we figured
And
it
I'm
out.
in my
This is-
head
this is-
hearing these
Brian Shaw wasn't on
alarms
that
and
team.
like
It's
trying to
Steve
watch
Brown,
basketball
Reggie Lewis,
because
all
I
that.
understand
So it's like,
basketball,
we figured
right?
out
So
we
like
unlocked
I
this. Game 7 in
understand
Cleveland,
even through
the Cavs are like,
this
"Fuck
alarm in my
this,"
head.
and they just
Hey,
pound him impressive.
you're
against
not
the ball.
dying.
Like,
You're in your
I can't move.
apartment.
What are we
You're,
doing? And I wonder,
you know, it's
like with Harden,
2011.
heading into
You're
Game
watching
6, the
basketball.
Bucks are gonna look at this
Like,
tape and be like,
you know what's going
what are we
on.
doing? Why this guy can't
But it
move.
wasn't
Why
working.
can't we just demolish this
All
guy?
of a
Which I think is
sudden,
what's
you
gonna
know,
happen.
the
Yeah, if Ty Lue was
TNT
coaching the Bucks, I think they would do that.
team
But
is
I don't know. I just feel like
talking to me
the Bucks
specifically,
play
and they're
this
trying
style
to
of
tell me
basketball
this
that more often than
this
not feels
joke,
like
and
they
it
could
was
care less
apparently
who
the
opponent
first
is
joke
and what is
ever
happening on the
written
floor. They're like looking for these
from the
certain
Bible or
openings
something,
that they
and it
go
was
for
supposed to kind of
on all their
answer.
possessions. It was even driving me crazy.
It
like,
was supposed to let me in
how
on
early
this
in the shot
secret,
clock they
and
were
I
putting
just
up
couldn't
shots
follow
now.
this
It's just
joke,
bleed
and
this
they were
game
kind of
out.
like making
make
fun of
Durant
the
run
fact
through
that I couldn't
screens,
follow
like,
this
make
joke.
him
But it
tired
was
on
like,
the
hey,
other
you're
end
in the
of course,
club,
not
like
giving him the ball back with
you
21
made it,
seconds left
you
on the
got
shot
it,
clock.
you know.
Even
Like,
if it is getting tight. So I don't know. I mean, like,
but meanwhile,
I
I'm like,
watch
hey,
TV,
no,
and I will
I'm
imagine there
dying.
is
There's
some
an alarm
adjustments,
going off
but
in my
even
head.
So, you've
I'm
now
dying.
kicked the door open just a little bit more for Kyrie to come back.
And then there's
right?
this cat that
And
knows this is all going on.
I don't know whether or
and
not Harden is going to be able to
kept coming
feel the
over
right
to
side of
me,
his body
and
tomorrow, but like it'll be
it's like
fascinating to see if he can contribute anything in the next two games.
almost like
Kyrie on the
the
bench?
cat
I
was
did not see
talking
him. They
to
didn't cut away to him on this,
the
but, yeah,
TV
like it's also weird
people
the way
on the
benches are set
TV
up
and
now
trying
where,
to
like,
explain,
guys might
like
be in the back,
interpret
but there
for
weren't
me
any, like, cutaways to
what
his
was
celebrating
going on to
Kyrie.
them, and like there was
I'm
this
throwing this at you.
back
I
and
think
forth
they
between
throw
the
away
cat
Game 6.
and the TV
Well, you would,
and
wouldn't you? But like,
you know,
if
the
you
basketball
go out and if you go down 20, you, like,
analysts,
pull it back,
and
right?
I don't play Harden. I don't.
they're
play
all
Kyrie.
trying to tell me that I'm not gonna die,
And I'm
and
just like,
I'm
they're gonna have to
okay,
beat
and
us
I'm
in
in on
rounds.
this
We're
secret,
almost
and
like it's the
it
first
just
load management play.
that was the,
So what would you do
the
with
catalyst where all of a
Let
sudden
him
I'm like,
start and then
okay,
pull him if he goes down 20.
yes, I know this is
Maybe
just a
play
cat.
Harden
I
in the first
understand
quarter. I shoot
the
a ton of
evolution
threes.
and
I'm just
the-
like, let's shoot
the-
50 threes. Let's see if we
you know,
can.
animals are animals, and nature is nature, and
But
at that point,
stuff,
I'm just like, yo, this cat is like he's a
Game 6.
He's a psychiatrist. He comes to me. He can feel what I'm feeling. He can tell what I'm doing or thinking, and
that's not a ton of recovery.
he's
time.
reporting
Just
back
put
to
40
someone
against
that,
Durant.
you know,
Dude's got a surgically repaired Achilles.
hey,
and
he's
I don't think
okay.
the Bucks
Or,
can win in
hey, he
Brooklyn.
actually needs help.
Yeah,
Yes,
those
cats
guys
are
are talking
medics.
about
Dogs
So
are
I remember
basically
when the
more
Celtics had the Nets first round pick.
security.
And I was actually watching the Nets.
Watchdogs,
those years,
so to
and
speak.
Lopez was like single-handedly killing our Jaylen Brown pick, whatever.
And I know that
was.
doesn't make a ton of sense
There was like
because
6 games where it'd be like the Nets are down 2 with a minute
all of these
left,
animals
and
have
throw it
such
down to
different
Lopez, and
personalities.
3
You'll have
guys
dogs
on
that are
him,
absolutely
and he would
protective,
somehow drop
and
step, jump hook, and
you'll have
he would
dogs that
tie down,
are,
and you'd be like, God, this guy's fucking amazing.
you know,
This is
so
the
friendly
greatest season
that
I've ever seen on a
everybody
20-win team.
is
And
a
now he doesn't post
potential
up at all. He had
friend,
Harden
you
on
know,
him.
like
He
an
had,
intruder.
he had
They don't care.
I don't know.
Like,
You
they're
pick
just gonna,
any
hey,
short guy was
what's
on
up?
him.
Hey,
and it's
hey.
just like he
I
just
love
didn't
you.
want any part of it. How do you lose
But
that part of your
they
game?
strike me as
I
essentially
have to imagine it's instructed. I just think that they
kind
know, like,
of
play 5 out. You're like a 38%
watchdogs, you know, like they're always
we'll play the numbers on
there's
that.
a sense of
Because like I just thought actually the key to that game was
with
what I
dogs.
thought was great about the way they were playing the first half was it just seemed that they
just seem to want to keep people in line.
which was always supposed to be the Brooklyn Achilles
And
heel.
granted, when I say these things, it's always when I'm in the mindset, right? Like when I'm really
and that you could make them pay, and that's why people are kind of like
thinking,
entertaining this idea that Philly might
about
be able to give Brooklyn a lot of problems in
stuff.
these conference finals because they're going to play down low and they're going to punish and get boards and stuff like that. And Milwaukee,
but it's also always kind of like in the back of my head.
You mentioned go through a chess phase where you play.
So
chess.
just one real
I went
quick.
through a Queen's Gambit phase. I guess that.
Oh, all right.
One real
chess,
quick.
Like you play computer chess, and the computer's gonna just
So-
never learns, and the computer's just like, I'm the computer. I'm just gonna do this.
You are living living life and everything is just exactly as you
We're
believe it
computer
is.
chess.
And
This was a program built.
all of a sudden,
So do you think it's a bud thing? Or do you think
slip
it
and
is
fall
the
and
way
you hit
the
your
team
head
is
and
oriented
you're
around
knocked
getting
out
this
and
thing?
you wake up in the hospital
Because
2 hours later.
I think
You wake up in
think
the
about
hospital
how
2
long
hours
Giannis been
later
playing
and
basketball, 10 years.
you're
Yeah.
sure,
You're not gonna. The thing that he doesn't
something
have.
is
This
wrong.
one of the
This
things
is
that I think
not.
makes Durant
You
so
just know
special.
something is wrong.
Durant's been playing
And
in games.
indeed, something is wrong.
He's
What
the
has happened
classic
is in
since
that
he
2
was
hours,
6 years old,
you
was
were
on
abducted
team.
by
And when he was
aliens,
8 years old, was
and
on
you were
the
taken
AU
to
team. He's
a
just
world
he's played in a million
that looks
basketball games.
exactly like everything
And you
is
have a
everything
general feel
is
for
exactly
certain
as you know
rhythms of
it.
those games, right? The previous game.
You can't
for
see
someone I
anything
talked to,
different. You can't
when
feel
Kyrie
anything
got
different.
hurt,
It's this
it really-
earth as you know it.
Durant was a
But
little
when you wake up in the
shell-shocked for
hospital,
like a half hour. You could see it on the court.
you know
because
something
he's
is
smart
different.
enough to
You
know,
don't
like,
belong.
He's doing the calculus. He's like, oh fuck.
Right.
Unless I'm amazing in
And
this game,
you can
we're
tell
not
that
gonna win.
everybody
They're actually gonna beat
else
us, and it actually took them out
knows
of the
that you
game.
don't belong.
I don't know if Giannis has
So
a basketball
you
kind of reps brain like that, where as the Durant thing is happening,
you know something is
that's where
wrong.
your
You
best
know that they
players
know
are
that
like, hey,
something
take
is
this
wrong,
fucking
but
guy,
you
outguard
can't.
him.
Yeah.
They're not going to tell
Let
you,
me have him.
hey,
Or
this is Earth
I'll take
2.0.
over. I'm just
Like,
gonna get to the basket. I'm
we
gonna try
stole
to
you
drop
from Earth
fouls on
1.0,
somebody.
and
Like as great as
why?
he is,
I don't know.
just feel like
Like,
there's
what's
still like a
going
naivete
to
with him in
happen?
some of
Like,
these
why
games.
Well, and
do we
I-
want
this
you
happens
here?
a little bit in
Like,
Philly games too with Simmons, where there's like a whole portion of the game
it
that's
just
for Ben Simmons.
that's
and
kind
then there's
of
the last 5 minutes.
what that
and
first
you
mental
basically just
breakdown
have
did
to, like,
to me.
Take what you can get from him on defense, and then hope that he gets a tip.
So when I say these things, like,
cut or something like that. And
yeah,
felt
I know they're
I
delusions,
started
and I
thinking that in the
know
last 5 minutes of this game, where I was like, Middleton should not
that
have
it's
dunked
really
on
only
that
if
pass.
I'm in a certain
Middleton should have gone
mindset,
to
like
the
a
cup for that
stressful,
because
you know,
not 'cause
something
Giannis is
triggers
bound
it,
to
and then I'm
drop
like,
it,
okay,
But Middleton and Holiday
this
have
traffic,
to
like,
accept
why
the fact
is it
that, like,
this
the last 5
cat?
minutes of the
Why
game
is
are
it
where their
this?
skill sets are
You
the most
know,
valuable.
We didn't even
media.
talk about
Why
that
is
play.
it
A free throw. Yeah.
this whatever?
Yeah.
Why is it
I mean,
so
that
tailored
would
to
have been
me?
a tie game.
Last
like 20 seconds.
But
Great
even
pass by
knowing
Middleton.
that
And Grant Hill was like, what a strip by Jeff
it's a
Green. That wasn't
mindset,
a
and
strip.
these
Giannis dropped it.
catalysts
He dropped the ball. He thought he was going to dunk
kind
it.
of need to something needs to kick them into place.
I think he was going in for the rebound.
It's
And that
always
actually
there.
is probably
It's
what should have
always
happened.
in the
Middleton probably
back
should have
of.
gone to the rim.
It's like
and tried
there's
to get
two
contact and probably
tunnels
finished,
in my
and he's a
head,
better free throw
and
shooter
like
than Giannis. And
the
that's
one
just what
normal
makes
one
sense
where
in
I'm
the
living my
modern NBA
life
last
and I'm
5
just
minutes of the
some
game.
depressed,
And I know you wanna come down with
anxiety
your best player,
ridden cook
you know,
that
being a participant in it, but
you
like
know,
I'm watching the way Doc
feels like he's
been,
living in
and the way he's
quicksand in
just,
this
like,
earth
all
that
these
he
things
knows
Ben
is this
Simmons
earth.
does are
That's
very
the normal
valuable.
one, and that's
I am
not
gonna
a
put him in
fun
the most
or
valuable
exciting
places. He
life
is not the free throw
necessarily,
shooter
but
in the
it's
last 5
like
minutes of this game.
it's
You know what I
life.
mean? And if I
Yeah,
just sub
it's
him out,
normal and it's
so be
life.
it. Now I'm not saying Butch should take
But right there in
but I just
the
don't know why
brain,
they repeatedly
in like
went to him when there
tunnel,
were other options on the floor.
you know,
It's so funny when the generations
2.0
pass and you can compare the guys
side by side with
this
is life.
And it wasn't
It's
until
tunnel
Kobe and Kobe that they had a solve for
3.0.
it.
That's
those last 4 minutes.
yo.
Kobe and some
You woke
three-point
up on a
shooting,
different
and
planet.
You kind of hoped you only
12 years
went
ago,
to Shaq
11
around
years
the
ago.
rim, but you didn't go for him because you were always afraid he was going to get fouled. And Giannis now in these last 4
So
minutes.
I guess just try to keep that in
Especially
mind
with the
if
Nets,
you're
when you know
watching
they're going
this.
to make their free throws, right? Durant missed one that would have given him a 50-point game, and it was like shocking that he missed it.
It's just
But when Giannis makes
brain
the free
is
throw,
insane, and
you're right. When Giannis makes the free throw, I'm shocked.
I don't
In the
know.
last 3 minutes, I just assume he's going to miss him.
You know, we talked a little bit earlier about whether or not Durant diminished Giannis in all of this game.
I don't know.
I'm a big Drew Holiday fan, but like there was a little bit of.
All right, so and delusions. We have the animals and the traffic covered. So let me find some good background real quick. Of course, this thrift store is about to open, so the parking lot is filling up, and that means I can't really do this here. But I think the next delusion is going to be probably the product placement, because that's easiest to describe from what's I'm sure you've figured out by now. Pretty much the same thing. See, like, there's this guy. No, never mind. He was looking in the other direction. So I'll do a quick description of the product placement, and basically it's exactly what it sounds like. You know what product placement in movies is. This is just product placement in real life. Solid soul, in the blood I bleed, in the blood, and not my spoons. Only one top the house. Only one across the house. I don't care what times you did, what you get caught, and what you burn. Alright, well, people are rushing to the door, so it must be open, so I'm going to stop, and I'll get back to you on the product placement. So product placement delusion is, like I said, basically exactly what it sounds like. And this one is obviously easiest when I'm not in my own living situation. If I, move into a new place, or spend the night somewhere, end up in a hotel, or go home to visit my family, any of that sort of thing. And it's basically what you would expect. You get in this mindset and you look around your house, whether it's your house or, like I said, someone else's house, more likely. And essentially, it's kind of like, even if I know that obviously the things I'm seeing are just things that people use, it could be even something, that I put there for the sake of art, like this soda bottle cap printing plate thing, and I put that there because I like it, like I like the way it looks, and I think it's interesting. But if I get into the product placement mindset, what'll happen is, it's like my eyes are a window to somebody else's viewing, like I'm forcing this 7-Up or whatever other products I happen to use onto somebody else, where that somebody else is me. I'm stuck at a train right now, which is probably the absolute worst time to be doing this, because there's literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars with people in them around me. But 6 minutes just on this so far, and I haven't even really said anything. So ultimately, it's probably just all part of the same bullshit, you know? Dissociation, fucking, you're not a real person, or you're not part of life. You spend 15, 20 years kind of like sleepwalking through your life, and all of a sudden it's like nothing is real. So I understand that, and I know that there's not like some conspiracy to make me drink 7-Up because I like to collect weird stuff and hang it on the wall or whatever. But when you're feeling some type of way, there's not a whole lot you can do. This train is now backing up. Which is not a good sign. I'm pretty sure I've been in this exact position before, where obviously minus the literally recording myself part. These are absolutely the situations that'll get me into any one of these delusions where, you know, now I have to sit here and watch train car companies go apparently back and forth for probably about 10 minutes now. Theoretically, they were going to reverse to let us through. They're just blocking somebody else off down the way that they. So I really don't know what's going on, but kind of annoying. But yeah, lots of people stuck somewhere I don't want to be, unexpected, and all of a sudden you're in the mindset where it's like there's a camera on you and somebody else decided to have, you know, a Gatorade bottle and 2 boxes of Q-tips on your coffee table, you know, which is really annoying and frustrating. Because you know it's not that. I'm trying to find a specific song, but it's on shuffle, so just kind of hoping. So I'll be back shortly.
That's a good example.
Wow, I came up with that off the top of my head. I'm generally bad at improvising. I feel good about my submission. Good job.
I feel
actually,
so. When I went on the Greg Cody podcast with Greg Cody last week, he asked me like.
I guess a lot of this is just depersonalization.
Will it be broken, sore and stiff? The genie at the bottom, who I'm sucking at, he owes me one last wish. So here's a present to let you know I still exist. Drink 40 days and 40 nights. Tickle every second and tickle every time. Every line means so much to me without you. All the English boys you meet, I'm the American boy back in the States. The American boy you used to date.
So they're gonna try to get this whole entire row to turn around because I guess this train is just not going anywhere. Don't you understand? Now there's people all over, all out of their cars, and it's an absolute recipe for me to freak out and get inside my head and it's got to be riveting for whatever alien channel is using my eyes as their camera. The train is moving in the right direction now. I'm not really sure where the girl that was coordinating the potential turnaround went, but it looks like maybe her timing was bad and now potential. This song brings up a good point that I'm sure at this point some of y'all are asking or wondering, which is essentially, you know, like how much of this did you just bring on yourself by experimenting with drugs or whatever, which I'm not going to say that the answer is zero, you know. Obviously, a big part of being mentally ill or what have you is kind of like you got something going on in your head and something brings it out, you know. So there's a good chance that that first mental breakdown, I'm pretty sure, was just straight lack of sleep, you know. But I mean, like I said, that's the thing that's messed me up the most, that I know has messed me up the most. What all else has attributed to it? Like, I'm definitely not gonna say it's got nothing to do with psychedelics or marijuana or, you know, what have you, but at this point it doesn't really matter, you know, because it's been 10 years of not doing the things that should be messing me up, and I'm obviously
never had that kind of relationship in the world. You're always afraid to take the first step because all you see is every negative thing 10 miles down the road.
See, and then sometimes it's like, bro, we were so close to the. Oh no, we weren't. I thought that was the end. Alright, well, I'm gonna go. Bye. I don't think a train has ever just completely died in the middle of the city, but maybe I'm wrong. I guess I'm just don't understand people clearly. If you've been watching any of this, you know that though. So alright, I'm gonna go for real. I'm putting this all away now. Never did find the right song, but whatever.
Baseball was the thing that they put on TV. And then
well, I guess we are all turned around because the train went the wrong direction again. They managed to get us all out of here. And now it's just a matter of figuring out how to get home without going over these train tracks, apparently. This was not the song, but I like the song. This was not the song, but I like the song. So, leave it here for a second. We're going to leave it here for a second.
Posing the question, how many been empty and holding aggression? Close to depression, open your eyes and just focus a second. I've had a smorgasbord of
Pornographic that's a lot. I feel like I'm after the shot. Break me right you mad, cuz
you're driving me crazy. The fact that you pay me and make me that's something I love. You come to the club, searching for drugs, drunk, fucking these slugs. God loves me, what if he does? What does it mean? You wasting away doing nothing, you frontin'. Why aren't you chasing your dreams? We wanna
Mac Miller. His passing pretty far and away most messed up really any debt has ever gotten me until ironically Kobe Bryant a year or two later that messed me up a whole lot. And I guess that one I understand. Kobe Bryant always been there, and he had, I don't know, it's kind of like a spokesman for my life for 15, 20 years.
Come on, homie, we major. I waste away in this room, spitting out raps. Yahweh put the world in my hands, I'm giving it back.
And then Mac Miller, there's just something about this album specifically, but I guess a lot of his music that just, I don't know, like really struck me. I guess his music is just kind of how I feel a lot of the times.
New phone Hooters. It's bad.
So,
It's bad. Just because you don't want to talk to them. Because I just have to make sure that that's the person that texts me. It's bad. I just had to get that off the contact.
Sorry, I was looking at this bird.
You feel like you're being entrapped? Sometimes. Really? Just making sure. So the 15 bank account.
He's walking really weird. I can show you what this mountain looks like. I don't know which direction I need to go in. Can't really see anything, but there's a mountain there. So I'm gonna go walk around for a little bit. And then I will come back and, you know, finish up the delusion thing. Alright, I'll be back.
I'm passionate about my teams. I care about them. And if a guy
anyway, point is, it might be a little bit long because this is kind of the ultimate delusion. I'm just going to skip into the end.
I'm not. You're right.
You're defending it right now. And if in other relationships, human relationships...
Basically, everything I'm into is things to take my mind off of the mental illness. So what am I into other than yo-yos and mental illness? Nothing.
But what do you do? Like, Roy, you texted me last night, and I gave you the answer right away.
So for a while, about 10 years ago, when this 10, 15 years ago, when this kind of all really started, I guess I should clarify that the anxiety, depression, whatever,
if you guys are open to
underlying mental
not really, no. I admitted
block
that I text people new phone Hooters
I'm dealing with is
I feel like you might
much older. That probably started
kind of take some
early teens, maybe like 16 at the latest is when it was clear to everyone around me, I'm sure, that I was depressed or
I don't know half of the people
whatever.
And I don't understand why I've been lumped in on some of them.
But the actual like delusional like mental breakdown stuff
in my life does
started
all the time, every occasion.
You know, 10, 11, 12 years ago.
New Year's,
23 or something.
Just lumps in basically everybody they know
23
on one
is,
text,
yeah,
knowing full well that the majority of those people don't know each other. This past weekend,
whatever. Okay, so my mom is an artist, so I kind of grew up around
my cousin, who's my age,
art,
is also a
and it was always like
we privately had these conversations in the past where we were like,
you know, like you're creative growing up, and then
I don't know
13, 14, whatever,
so
between
the first person replied to that, thank you so much, we're in
school just sort of like
whatever, right? Yeah.
beating that out of you, and the mental stuff coming on.
Why are we in this again? And who the hell?
You spend 10 years not being creative.
Right now
I was really into during that time.
So you will never be invited back to these.
So painting and film were my first two kind of like
but it's a risk I'm willing to take if I never have to be part of these holiday group texts ever again.
Mental.
So basically,
nonsense.
You're normal life, basically. You're acting like.
You know, we're in too deep now. We've already got it.
Sorry, I know I'm just rambling. I'll try to make it make sense. Alright, so and then the rest of the time is pretty much split between work and not work, which is sitting around and trying to figure out how to crawl out of the quicksand. But another big part of it was the community behind the yo-yos. Obviously all online, because that's pretty much where I've lived my life for the last 20 years, is, you know, sleepwalking through your waking life, so to speak, and online is kind of the only place that I'm sure many people feel like, you know, hey, I can be real because I'm not going to be judged, or I can control the judgment that I do face, you know. So you're not getting the full picture here. So this is not ever gonna be really done, because I can't talk about, you know, what had such a major impact on a good chunk of the years that I was most in the deluded mindset, you know. So, all right, I'm gonna go, because this park, there's too many people, and like I said, I haven't even started on this main delusion, so this last episode is gonna be probably way too long. Maybe I'll split it into two.
But then there's this performer element that he's bringing into this stuff, and he's better on the road the same way you covered some incredible Bird games in the 80s. Bird loved nothing more than to just go to Seattle and just be like, this is my one time I'm here, I'm shutting everyone down. I feel like Trey likes
I called this the I'm not in
home,
control delusion, and again,
where there's like a defiance there that is just so cool. I'm so glad it's
self-explanatory.
Back, the NBA was missing.
This one is definitely
like
the most physical, least
Mitchell has it a tiny bit, but not really. But Trey,
most mental and most physical, I guess.
Watching the game last night, Reggie Miller. I'm rambling. Reggie Miller.
Basically, before I have a significant thought, I have to convert it into a question, and then the answer is, I don't know who's asking it. And you know what I'm saying? And that's probably like all of this just from 20 years of isolation and being stuck inside my head, and just like kind of understanding myself really, really well, but not understanding anything or anybody else at all. I'm just gonna let this song play for a second. Anyway, I guess my point is, all of this is you know, is really just me trying to figure out if that's true, if maybe I'm just not cut out for happiness or whatever. This bird is just like, I'm not saying all birds are government Anyway, so I'm not in control delusion. We're at this party and I walk in and it's just what it sounds like. Somebody clicks on my character in their alien video game and starts controlling me. You know, like I'll hear a sound and like my arm will just kind of go back in response to the sound and then come forward in response to another sound. And I'm just kind of always I'm just kind of always responding to, so somebody walks towards me and like, I know the conscious thought is, okay, I don't want this person to touch me, like I don't want this person near me, but I don't consciously move out of their way. Instead, this is all at this party, by the way, I just sort of am not in control, and they don't touch me, and you know, I'll hear them say something, and I'm 100% sure that they're just saying it to get a reaction. You know, like I can just tell it's not a genuine thing. They're saying it to get a reaction, and I'm reacting exactly how they want me to. And again, logically, I know like you are still in control, but in that moment, I'm not in control. You know. Alright, well I'm gonna stop here because this new Tyler album is actually really good and I'm gonna listen to it. But I'll be back. So again, I don't know when I'll use this, if I'll use this, but I just want to say no Man is probably my favorite artist. Talks trash about Lil Wayne, like if you talk trash about Lil Wayne or you don't eat your bagels like sandwich, I just can't trust you, you know? I've been doing this since he was like 12, and he's the GOAT. He's been doing it for 25 years, mid-90s, and he's never missed a step, you know, like obviously he grew into his own thing in 2008 with Carter 2 and 3, 6, 7, 8, that area. Anyway, my point was I like art that I make to be sloppy and unfinished, and if it seems sloppy and that's the point. For me to get my brain clear and for you to hopefully get some of the point that I'm trying to make. But see, 23. Did you hear that? When I turned 23. Alright, I'm gonna go. I just wanted to really quick mention that it's ironic that this is all kind of coming to a head right as this Tyler the Creator album comes out, because Tyler the Creator is kind of potentially one of the you know, he was just starting to pop off when I started becoming really so
He's in the 8th grade.
like I
He
said,
hasn't even in high school yet.
basically
he shows
what
up
it
at this
sounds
summer
like,
workout that he, almost wasn't invited to, and the first thing he does is go to the front of the line.
it's kind
and they're
of
all looking at him like, get the hell out of here. And they send him to the back, and everyone kind of has a good laugh. And then the next day, he shows up and he does.
This is kind of the one that
because see the thing about
ties it
Trae
all
Young
together,
is
I guess.
It's not an act. He truly believes he can beat anybody. He truly believes.
This one is
he's
another
the
one
best.
that has
Now,
like a specific
the Sixers put
catalyst.
Ben Simmons,
That's easiest.
First team.
Easiest way to describe it would be to describe this situation.
Player of the year voting. Now,
I'm in
Ben
Chicago.
Simmons did a decent
I'm living in Chicago for
But he didn't
a little
stop
bit,
because
trying
nobody
to
stops him.
start
Now you come to this series,
really this
Drew
project
Holiday, all
that
defensive player,
you're watching here,
destroyed him.
but
destroyed him. The only
about
thing
somebody
that
else.
kind of evened it off was Drew destroyed him on the other end. Something Trae still needs to work on, obviously.
And
But he fights more on that end than he used to.
I'm really,
that's Nate McMillan,
you know,
too. I
it's
really
a
do. I think
stubbornness.
Nate's
Like
look,
I'm
old school. Well, you'll read the story
not
tomorrow.
willing
Everyone will read it tomorrow, hopefully.
to give up this
But
idea
Nate
or
McMillan
this
told
dream
Sport, he's
or
like,
whatever.
Okay, man, I'll meet you halfway. Like, I'll let
So
you
I'm
shimmy,
staying at a
in someone
hostel
else's
in Chicago.
gym. In game 1 of a conference finals, when we're not even like the game isn't over.
Eventually,
I'll let you do that.
you're only
Man,
allowed
you
to
gotta
stay
at
at
least
this hostel
try
so long
like,
because
just give me a little
I
bit of
guess
effort,
they
a
don't
little
want
bit
you
of
to have
aggression, and you saw it in that game
cheap
last night.
housing long term.
He's guarding Giannis
So my
in the
time is
post
up at this
for crying out loud.
hospital,
They did a,
and
like,
I
pretty
end up,
decent job. Made him take a
you know,
fall,
my
a
first
turnaround ball away.
bout
Like,
with
why isn't Giannis
homelessness
dunking on that
or
kid's head,
not having
you know?
anywhere to go.
And there were a couple of plays where he just, because he's quick, right? He can move. He sealed off the baseline.
So I'm
and
walking
threw
around
I'm
with
not
this
saying
guy
he did
that
a
I
great
met
job
at the
with Drew
hostel,
Holiday. He did not,
and
defensively.
I
But he
believe this
competed,
is the
and that's
second
really,
night
that's all you
that
ever ask.
I'm,
And Nate McMillan compared him,
without a place to
Steph Curry.
be
I think it's a good comparison
or to
on the
stay.
defensive end of the floor, because that's what the Golden State does.
And
They
it's
just ask
raining,
for a little effort and a little
it's
hustle from
cold,
Steph, and then they hide him in their scheme.
Me and this guy are walking around, and it's like this
Can I just
guy
say one thing about
is
the Hawks?
already.
What about John Collins?
You know, this
man?
is after the delusions have started, but
he's another guy
early on. But he's already got me
That's
in like.
he's won me over in the playoffs because I really feel
Yo, what
like
are you
he
doing,
gives a
bro?
shit,
Like,
and
just tell
especially
me
in that
who
first series, he was crashing
sent you,
boards.
like who, like
And by the
why,
way, Capella was too. Capella made the biggest,
why would
biggest
you
rebound and
be
putback of the game
talking
yesterday.
to
He had
me
a couple of
about
those.
these
Those
things?
guys are really
Why
active
won't
and
you
competitive.
just be honest and just tell me
Capella
what you
understands
want
exactly
from
what
me?
he's there, right? Capella's not going to be
Which, again,
bitching about. I need more shots. I need more touches.
I mean, it really
get me the
sounds
ball in the post.
worse
He knows
than it is, I
exactly who he
guess.
is, what he's supposed to do, and he does it extremely
But
well. I think
whatever,
John
he's a good
Collins
guy,
has had
and
to fight through
he's
some of that a bit. He was
when
there
you're
before Trae,
two
right? And so he's still
lost
I think
kids
for John,
in
it's been a metamorphosis.
a giant city
For he and
that
Trae,
neither
I
of
think
you
they've
really
always
know.
been friends. I think they've always had a connection. I think they've battled like
It's
brothers.
good to have
probably
another one of those people
unhappy with each
there,
other a lot of times.
you know?
But I think they both.
So we're
connect
walking
with each
around the
other. They
city,
need each other, and they
and
know it, and they both
all of
want
a
to win so
sudden,
badly. So
it's raining,
I
and
just
we're
don't
in
think
like
John Collins gets
a
enough
alley
credit
of some
sometimes. We
sort,
talk so much
and
about the
somebody
shooters.
from a balcony
it's been
above
great.
us
Bogey was great
starts
till he got
calling
hurt.
out,
Gallinari had some really
asking
big
if we
moments
want to
in that
come up
Sixers
to this party they're having.
Right.
But John Collins, man, they're not here without
And,
John Collins.
You know,
He's a
that's
junkyard
not what
dog
I
in
wanted
town.
to do.
He made the biggest three of the game yesterday. I think
It was
there
inside,
like 5
and
different
it
points in
was
that game
not
when it seemed like
wet,
Milwaukee had
so
either won or was
of
about
course,
to win, and
you
then
know,
something
like,
would happen.
I got somebody else that
you get done
I
and you
know,
go,
sort
they had
of.
like 70
I'm not
points
gonna
in the
be
paint. How did they not
alone,
win? Well, they
even
didn't
if I'm
win because they can't shoot threes.
always alone.
I mean, they shot 28% on uncontested.
So we go up to this apartment, and it's just like a little college party. You know,
Middleton
like
sucked too. That was the other reason.
Yeah, he was
probably 5 people that live there.
I really wonder where this
5
series
friends,
goes because it
maybe
took
15 people total.
really a quarter for Milwaukee
They're
to
playing beer
realize
pong,
what kind of
and
a
they're
Lopez disadvantage that
blah
was.
blah
with
blah.
Trae.
Right.
You know,
But then
alcohol and
on the
weed
flip
and
side,
whatever goes into a college party.
Atlanta
And
didn't seem like they could really find the right lineup.
pretty much as soon as I walked in the door,
the last few years, the fact that
I
he's
get
out
hit
there,
with the
they're
first
missing Bogdanovich, they're
and
missing
like most powerful. I'm not in
DeAndre Hunter
control.
and even Reddish. They had 3
delusion.
different people they would have much rather been playing in that spot.
And
It
it's
just seems like as the
basically
series
what it
keeps
sounds
going,
like. like, you know,
Milwaukee
like,
probably has
I am suddenly not in control.
Depending on what they get from PJ Tucker in a game that
you
they're
know,
really going to be able
like,
to use.
mentally understand,
Atlanta
like,
might have 4.
hey,
So
you
it's
are
gonna
in
come down
control.
to
You can
Solomon Hill making
walk
a
out
shot
this
in a
door
game.
right
It's
now.
gonna come
You
down
know,
to
like,
Bryn Forbes
nobody
Right.
is
In the fourth quarter, I just
controlling
think it's gonna be one of those
your
series. The role
legs
players
and
at some point are
arms
gonna have
and
to come through, but
actions.
I can't believe this is the Eastern Finals.
But
I love it.
It's great,
I love it.
right? It's
Yeah, it is.
really like this
that's
squad
like
of
an
awesome
intellectual
secrets.
thing, you know.
And I
like
was
practically in practice,
kind of cranky old guy that works at the grocery store.
I'm not in control
Kind of gruff.
in this
I walked
delusion.
in. I said, "Hey, how are you this morning?" Because I know he loves the
fraction.
So I'm at
I
the
love that kind of
park
reporting, man. I mean,
with
it's basically
the
just the heater secret of
bird that has
period, right?
the
And like,
weird
if
feet,
they get a chance
weird
to
walk.
include him in any trade package, they will.
It's Bam Adebayo. It's not Jimmy
Honestly,
Butler,
I had an
because look at
ending
those
for
shooting
this,
splits. They keep tumbling down. He played for Tom Thibodeau.
but I can't.
I'd be really concerned about that. At the
I
same
can't
time,
remember what it
trying
was.
to score on them. It's one of the more versatile defensive units.
Ben Simmons is exactly, if you are a
I know what
believer
this
in quote heat culture, that's
look
what you do,
like
right?
to
You go and
or
grab the guy who's
seem
clearly
like
not being
to you,
maximized somewhere
but
else, right? Because basically,
it's
what
essentially
heat culture
very,
is
very,
you can reclaim anyone,
very,
right? You can fix James Johnson,
No.
you can fix Hassan Whiteside, you can
No.
fix anyone.
The strip club
planned
dalliances
and
are
organized
just
and
everything Tyler Hero.
Support for this podcast comes from AT&T. All right,
almost,
so to stay connected,
other than the
AT&T
stuff that
Business
just
the
has
only
fallen
wireless
into
plan your
place.
teams need. With mobile
Like,
hotspot
almost
data
every
up to
word
100
has been,
gigabytes, they can easily use their phones to connect tablets and laptops to the internet
Pre-planned,
from really virtually wherever work takes them, giving them the power to boost productivity even on the go. Upgrade to AT&T
I won't say I'm
Business and get our best plan
acting or have
5G
been
and
acting,
100 gigabytes
but
in mobile hotspot data.
I
Visit
won't say
att.com/business elite. Terms and conditions apply.
I have been
haven't,
remiss though, Billy,
if that makes
because
any sense.
the conversation of the day, and welcome back, Mike. I hope that you have properly annoyed the audience. I can't wait to get
So if I remember, but I guess my point is, all that said is still just then, like it was made in my head before it was made in actuality. So
No, we don't need to pace
sometimes,
ourselves because
you know,
Billy is right when he says,
I'll end up
I
with
believe and
the
Billy, there are too
ending,
many
for
milks
example,
to choose from.
and then, you know, that's late at night, and I'm like, okay, that's the ending. Let me add that, and it'll be done.
What a mistake that was.
But then
I was doing this
get
low
there
fat, no, what
2
is it?
days later, and sometimes that
It's the milk,
ending is now
lactose-free
gone.
milk,
So
right? Because my wife drinks lactose.
if and when I remember the ending that it was supposed to have, I will come back.
So we had to change the type of milk that my wife was drinking because, as you know,
end it.
mother drinks the milk.
Before I start, I just want to say I'm at that part
dog and I were having a thorough
again,
conversation.
and
really
the bird
loves the
with the
Hawks, by
bad
the way.
leg
and
is
I was saying, so that meant that
like
the Bucks
right
were
here.
actually going to cruise and they were going to win, and that's what happened because I have no idea what to really
you
do
walked
with this
into
series, and last night was a prime
the
example
actual
of that,
park
right?
a little bit. But
Yeah, I felt like on the Giannis injury night.
pretty weird.
To me, I was like,
I
well,
mean, I
when
guess
you
this
get
is just
done
where he
being
lives.
shocked that your superstar player may have exploded his leg, but it
So,
ended up just being hyperextended, no structural
give me a
damage.
second,
Shout out to
and
Dr.
we will
Woj.
start the last.
It just becomes a situation where you're like,
last
yeah,
update
but Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton are still better than the
hopefully
Hawks,
ever.
right? Like,
right.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if I finished the I am not in control
especially a Trae Young-less Hawks. So last night was
delusion.
very shocking.
So
right?
No, if anything, it felt like
hopefully
a smoother Bucks game
you got
than
the
we
point there
probably seen
because
this postseason. There's something very uncluttered
I'm gonna
about
be
the Bucks
done with
last
that.
night, and I also be like a shooting guard. And Drew Holiday,
if you didn't get enough out of I'm not in control, then
they just like don't have their hands on the ball as much. And without him there last night, everything just
I
seemed
think his
easy.
wing
Like, they
is
just
like
ran pick
broken,
and
and
roll
that's why he was
with
walking
Lopez,
weird.
Either of
His
those
one
guys,
wing
and
is
then
like
when Brooke was
dragging
short
on the
roll,
ground.
He found Bobby Portis, who for some reason I guess is just like Stephen Curry now.
That sucks.
And he just made open shots, and then, like it was just really simple.
I forgot what I was saying,
that,
so
like,
let me check my notes real quick for something creative.
in Atlanta.
So I am gonna end this, but
I am just worried that
as
while what they did make
I
sense,
leave,
maybe it's a little
I
easier to figure
do
out.
want
Like,
to
if
try
just
to
keep going into
hammer home one
making simple,
last
like maybe the Hawks game plan, and this is their counter to that
point.
Right? They didn't really get a lot of big games from some of the guys they got the previous game.
There's a certain point where I.
So I think about. I'm sure you would have figured out by now.
There, and, like, you just wind up, like, especially if Giannis doesn't play.
The Truman Show.
Bud, who seems resistant
A lot.
to exploiting defensive matchups.
The movie.
Typical times with Giannis out there, maybe gets into it a little
at some
bit more.
point.
You know, it's funny with the Giannis thing. It kind of reminds me of like there are these points in the Sixers season when Embiid would miss time, and if Embiid was ever like a game time decision, and then
at some point
he's not going to play, there always it always felt like there was
I've read
missing, you know, with the Sixers that year. And they even played like it, like they always played like
Truman Show
this
is
phantom limb.
now like
we kind of keep looking for Embiid, and he's not
an
there.
actual
Like, if Embiid was just, like, out,
diagnosable
I felt
disorder
like, and
or syndrome
I felt like the
or
Sixers
what have you.
actually were like, this is Plan B. This is how we look when Joel is just like
My assumption would
and
be
that's
that,
what I thought
you
the
know,
Bucks looked like last night. Like when Giannis
Truman
went
Show
down,
disorder,
oh shit,
you know,
like, what if he tore his knee? Like,
must have come after
everything we've been through. And then
the
when
Truman
they're
Show.
like,
You know, people see it and they're like,
go out there and
hey,
take care of business.
it gets in their head, and
It felt like they had the handbrake off a little bit. So it's been
but maybe they just
you know,
added
the
it
Giannis injury
after
really
somebody,
the latest in a long
you
line
know,
of
put
injuries
into
that kind of has defined this postseason. It goes beyond
words
just one. It's
what
basically
people had
we got
already
through all of the series
dealt with
playoffs,
for
with the exception of
decades.
a couple of exceptions.
It seems
Most
like
notably
once
the Hawks and
movies were
Knicks.
invented, once Hollywood
one where
was
nobody
doing
really
its
got
thing,
hurt.
it
Everybody
was
just kinda
inevitable that
except for Julius Randle's psyche, yeah,
that's right.
you know, it would
That's exactly right. But
mess
if you
up
look at-
certain
if you
people
look at all the other series
this
in
way.
the playoffs, there is some sort of injury that defines that series.
But my point
So
is,
you can't just say it's just been
if you
guys got hurt.
were
Like,
to actually
it's
think
completely
about it,
shaped playoffs.
it's
Now,
kind of like,
if I told you going into the postseason, everybody's healthy.
how many people
we're gonna
would
have
it
Suns
actually take to
I would be surprised.
Truman Show
but not shocked,
a single
right?
person,
Like,
right?
This is still an acceptable matchup of teams, I think.
Yeah, certainly. It's certainly.
And I just don't think
overall,
that
just because,
that
like,
number
we'll see
is
what we
as
can get
big as
of Giannis if
people
we do get to see him in
would
the finals of the advance.
expect.
I mean, not having the big raccoon
You know,
in there as well does. Certainly
obviously the
issues.
internet makes it
Like, they're
a lot
running
harder
just
these
to swim
days.
At this point, like, you know, they are really teetering on the brink. It's like they're on one side a super
But
team, and then like one more player goes
even
down, and
that,
it's just like
you
all of a
know,
sudden
like,
Jeff Teague from those old Hawks teams. You're starting
if you're only trying to control
but no, I think you're
one
right
person,
overall. I can't say like the entertainment value.
you know,
has been
everybody
what
can
I
have the
hoped
internet,
for, especially
and
in this Eastern Conference Finals.
that
Do you think
one
that's
person
because we've had some long series, you know, we've had some,
has
like very
their
competitive
internet,
series, but do you think
you
that
know,
the entertainment value has been diminished simply because of the absence of those superstars,
So-
or do you think that there's something about?
give me
like,
a second,
product
I'll try to
watching
explain this a little better.
The superstar thing. I mean, last night's game was.
All right, so
there
it's
have
the
been
80s,
a good
and
deal
you
of
have
blowouts,
a,
especially
you
in
know,
the Eastern
eccentric
Conference Finals, where it's almost like
billionaire
turn the lights
that
off after halftime.
is,
Like, there have been a few of those games I think that have had,
you know,
like, effect on, like,
modern
like,
Nostradamus sees
you're like, am I
the
going
way
to be in this
that
for 5
the world
hours,
is
or am I gonna
shrinking,
be in this for, like, half an
sees
hour?
the
But, yeah, but
internet
I mean, like, I
making,
want to see the best
you know,
players on the biggest stage.
everything
and, like, I think
global
there are certain
and
people out there,
weird
I mean,
and
that make me
connected
feel bad
and
about
always
that,
on,
because, like,
and
we have to protect the
he
small
says,
markets,
hey,
and actually the beauty of the game
I'm gonna
is
run
the,
I'm
like,
gonna run an
transactional
experiment where
pricing and, like,
I'm gonna take somebody
like, in-depth stuff,
from the
but,
time
like, I
that
wanna
they're
see LeBron
born,
James play
and I'm going to
Giannis or whoever, you know, Trae Young.
control
Like, I want to see that
their
like,
life,
with the biggest
their
stakes
life,
there. Like that is what we spend
lives,
usually
their
82
life.
games and month building up to the point where like the regular season has almost become, especially this regular season, has become just.
I'm
a training
going
ground
to,
for
you
the
know,
playoffs. Like guys just don't.
we're
play
gonna
as much,
control where they live and
injury
where they go to
management,
school,
it
and
seems like
eventually
teams
where
are
they
also
live on
building
their
routines
own
the
and where
fly
they
a little bit
work.
more than they used to, so they're more just
And,
like trying stuff. The Bucks, prime example
you
of
know,
that. Like as opposed to
it's a
previous regular
competition.
seasons,
We're
like,
gonna
they took this one to like
pick somebody that's having a kid in the 80s,
so, like,
and that person is gonna win.
up to this
And
moment, and it does feel like
if they make it, you know,
a wet fart
40 years or
Yeah.
however long,
I mean, you can
with
tell,
this
like,
control
last night, or
mechanism that we
Wednesday,
put
I
into
guess it was,
place,
when the Suns
then
won.
they will get the
when
keys
they
to
won the
the
Western Conference
chocolate factory, so
the
to speak.
CP3 industrial complex was like the train had already left the station. Do you know what I mean? Like it arrived, and everybody was ready to.
You know, for whatever reason, my parents enter, and I win,
Talk to us about the years in the wilderness that you went through to get to this place.
It's all forgotten about because it's, pre-internet basically, and
got a redemption moment. You know what I mean?
the kid isn't even born yet, and it's just like they hire the few hundred people at that point and start working on this project to control this person's life to see what happens.
Funeral speech about a guy who I guess was philandering.
It just wouldn't be, in my opinion, that unrealistic the way the last 35, 40 years has gone.
They won the Western Conference Finals. It was just like, hey, by the way, Robert Sarver last year told this, made this speech at some guy's funeral in front of his family that he was actually philandering.
Or maybe it's maybe it's
a real tomcat.
A worldwide pocket thing where
he liked to get after it.
This is the economy,
right?
The global
wedding crashers,
world is, they figured it out, and
you guys can look it up, but there is something.
Maybe it's 50 years into the future, and they've just
that was used for very improper reasons.
Messed with history for the certain people. There's not a need for
congratulations to Robert Sarver. It's a big moment for
whatever all the evils of the world. And this is kind of the way that world works now, where you get one person for every 500 people, and it's that person
Chris Paul
is controlled by those 500 people, and it's some sort of weird joke or what have you.
I think the same thing will happen.
Or like I said, aliens, if you have some hive mind,
MVP,
we have 80 trillion organisms and everything is utopian, and there's no war and there's no worry of food or what have you, and we just need some way to
because we've lost so many of these players.
Live our lives, and for every
This episode is brought to you by Casper.
one person, even on an Earth, a planet of billions of quote unquote intelligent creatures. Well, we got 10,000 in the hive mind for each one of you. It's all about energy, and it's all about blah blah blah, and it's some weird competition among our 80 trillion alien hive mind beings to, this is just our,
Heineken loves a natural pod because Heineken is made from 100% natural ingredients. With premium moves to buy Heineken, come with the dad bod, or come with the six-pack, whatever you want. My favorite memory of drinking Heineken, probably going to a Raiders game right before they got blasted at Coliseum. But I had fun. Heineken's the way. Pick up a pack.
To be honest,
back in the summer. Must be 21 years of age to purchase. Please drink responsibly.
I'm gonna go check my notes again because
Get ready to go live with Spotify Green Room, the new app for live conversations.
I don't know. I think you got the point.
Covering music, sports, or
you're not really thinking
nope, that was pretty much it.
This guy, and this guy. There's not enough balls to go around.
I could do.
Could do that.
Like I said, it's supposed to be a 30-minute project. Maybe an hour over a series of 10 episodes or something. But we're already at well over an hour.
I guess I want to see what you thought.
I'd go the other way.
For 4 episodes, so the project is being cut short, and I could do equal to the time I've just done on these, delusions. I could do that on the specifics of my Truman Show thoughts.
So my number one player should be the player I think is the best player in the playoffs.
But I still don't know if I would be able to properly explain all the different ways that I've thought it out. Ultimately, I understand, like I've said many times, that it is just delusional.
Yeah, but if I'm being tactical, maybe I wait on that.
Whether it's, like I said, just mental illness or mistreatment of my body and mind as
Alright, I'm gonna go Chris Paul.
college age kid.
I also, one of the big things I think we should talk about is like how much like
I started going to the doctor last year. I finally gave in and decided to try the medication route, and he says that there's probably some sort of PTSD involved, which obviously to have a post you need you need a trauma. So
everything you would want from a playoff MVP.
I know that it's just a delusional thing from whatever caused
that they played against the Clippers
it all to go down, bad luck, or
you don't hear from Chris Paul much
what
in
have
the
you.
first half. Maybe like he's flopping a little bit, but he's typically like setting people up, making sure Devin Booker's being aggressive. Then all of a sudden, like he takes over the game. He ends up with 41 points.
Definitely feels like something is wrong.
Patrick Beverly on tilt to the point where he's ejected.
So
it's like he is such a mastery and just like a
unless I
over the game right now.
Remember the original ending or
like, to put on my sports writer, like I'm
think of anything else that I need
what's happening
to explain.
I do think it's really interesting that like we've gone.
This will be probably the final.
Like so 3 and D.
Let's see if I can get real quick.
And a player that is rising amidst the chaos is a guy who is the best mid-range shooter in the NBA. Kirk Goldsberry had a good piece on this.
I think he's gonna get away. He's gonna get behind this car before. Oh no, he just wants to drink some water.
At least.
And he's just like he's making something out of nothing. And I think it's appropriate that he is
that guy, right?
MVP of this particular postseason.
Yeah, he. So I just walked away about the Suns for a while. When you watch them, the word that always
behind that car now.
The Suns is platonic. Like
if he pops back up,
to me is like the platonic idea.
I'll show you his weird walk and
today and
broken
also,
wing.
Argue it would have been the same maybe like 15, 20 years
It
ago.
is weird to me that he just hangs out this one part of the park. Yeah.
2 prototype wings, and you have prototypical scoring guard.
All right, I'm gonna go. Maybe
broke the mold. This is the guy.
Film a little bit more yo-yo stuff.
You would give him this dude's brain.
Although I know I have plenty of that, so maybe not.
A little taller or whatever, but like this
I've
guy's
been waking up
idea,
super early recently.
Like, when you watch,
and I don't know why.
And there's been so many runs, and Justin was talking a little bit earlier about watching the regular season.
But it's only like 8:15, and I've been up for
rehearsal for the postseason, and then
almost 2 hours.
I felt a little anticlimactic to see so many superstars go out. But during the regular
I gotta make it till at least
25, chances are that
12 or 1 before I can
we lost that one. And then
justify being at home and
it's unlikely that a team
falling asleep on accident
make up a 25-point difference
because it's a day off.
But that's happening pretty routinely.
I wake up too early and
maybe not 25 points, but
don't have the energy.
Getting erased.
So the bird did walk back across the broken wing weird walk guy, but then I just saw him when he was already back in the park. He is right behind that tree.
And it's been debated, it's already been dissected to death, but that Clippers cut it to 7.
Oh, there he comes.
In Game 6.
I don't know if you can see him.
And Chris Paul is just like, nope, we are not going to get into trading body blows with these guys.
Trying to get you outside real quick.
I guess my only counter would be gave us too much time in these playoffs, even though he's still in the playoffs.
That's him in the bottom left.
I mean, I'm kind of giving him a pass.
There's a little bit of a dip, so you can't really see his walk.
Did you watch after they won that game the other night, and he was just like,
or his
really
broken wing,
who he was touching and like going into the stands?
But here he comes.
I have now officially gotten to the point where I don't understand why some guys are wearing masks, some guys aren't.
He doesn't really want to show.
Some guys are
apparently
random fans.
His
some guys seem to be like off by
broken wing. I think it's the other side. You can kind of see it hanging down there.
Coaches are wearing masks. Coaches aren't like. And then even have you been to a game in the last couple of weeks? So it's like it also seems like we've gotten kind of to that like just below my nose or hanging off my chin area. Right.
All right. Well, I'm done.
Is it okay?
Yeah, because Dodger Stadium, like I went the other week and Dodger Stadium was obviously outdoors, masks off, but yeah, it's.
Sorry, I didn't even know this thing zoomed in that far.
I still don't really.
That was way too close.
Was he,
all right, I'm done. I'm gonna go.
Someone he know had COVID, so he was
have a good one.
There seems to be a consensus that he did have COVID. I